Today on Food Journey, it's another day spinning the wheel on our alphabet cookbook series. Let's see what letter it's going to land on today. And we'll be serving up some great recipes together. Hello and welcome to Food Journey. Today is our third edition of Alphabet Cookbook and it's letter C. We're talking about the great cookout. Now, growing up in America as a child opened my palate to American food. And as diverse as the cultures that are represented there are, my exposure was largely West Indian with some influence from the city I lived in as well, New York, a culinary hot pot. But for most Americans, they're familiar with the cookout. It's kind of like an American uambe with very relaxed clothing and slightly different food. Burgers and steaks of all sizes. Bring a plate of anything soul food. Greens, rice, candy yams, oxtail, patties, pies, pressed tongue, good drinks, spinning roasts, dominoes, cards, and definitely some line dancing into the night for the die-hard. We would need a whole month to debate the tastiest, but today I will share a few of my favorites with you. Here's the menu. It all starts with a trip to the market, looking for my fresh ingredients. Only the best will do for this menu, and there's no shortage of choice in this city of culinary variety. So let's shop. Hello and welcome to the kitchen. I'm really excited to share this recipe with you for my special ribs that are done in the oven. Now, a friend of mine who's a barbecue guru sort of said, well, you're not making barbecue ribs, you're making a rib hack. And I said, well, if you want to call it a hack, call it that. But it is a little bit easier to do than standing around a hot grill outside in the heat. So here is my version of oven grilled ribs. The first thing that we have to do is we have to spend some time cleaning them, trimming off the fat that we don't want. I'm using pork ribs, so they have quite a bit of fat, and I need to spend some time to show you just exactly how to do it properly. Are you ready? First things first. Sharpen your knife. Now we're ready to start. Let's look at this meat first. Magnificent bit of rib, which I've had cut in half. And you can see that each one of these bones represents a rib portion. So if we count, we've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 or so bits. Now, this fat here, I've had this in the fridge because I didn't want the fat to thaw out too much and sort of become very jellyish and slippery. So with my sharp knife, the idea is to grab some fat and start trimming. Now you can see all that can come off. But keep your eye on it because you actually don't want to cut away the valuable meat. So go at it little by little with a sharp knife and you'll get it. Fat, although it's fat, still represents flavor. So we don't want to lose it all completely. We'll need a thin layer for flavor indeed. Our last trimming task is to remove a thin membrane to expose the flesh, so use your fingers. We just have to find where it starts and kind of get our fingers underneath it and pull. Hear that? See that? And if you can get one good grip on it, you can actually pull off the whole membrane. Let's see if I can do, how well I can do with this. There you go, you can see it clearly now. This all should come off. There we go. See, it can happen. And what you're left with is this. We don't want this. So once we've removed all the membrane, we now have a surface area that can take in our lovely seasoning. I'll just wash my hands. Okay everyone, clean hands, and let's start on our dry rub. Now what's a dry rub? A dry rub is dry seasonings in combination rubbed onto your meat and allowed to marinate for some time, sometimes as little as 15-20 minutes for poultry, and sometimes 3 to 4 hours to overnight for other types of meat. For this pork, I'm going to let it sit for about an hour before I actually pre-cook it. So what's going into that dry rub? Let's have a look. So for the dry rub today, I've chosen some of my favorites. I've got just some lovely cracked black pepper, it's coarse. I've got some garlic powder, paprika, I love that, cumin, and of course some heat, some chili pepper. Also, I've got some sugar, sweetness, and salt to drive it all home and get it into the actual flesh. Rub in well, and don't forget the sides. One hour later, we have a wonderfully seasoned rack of short ribs, ready for a pre-cook. You can check the readiness of the meat by poking it with a knife. You'll also notice the bones protruding out a bit. This is a sign of near readiness. So now that our meat is on the boil and it's been marinated, we need to get started on this barbecue sauce. A lot of elements going into this now in terms of spices and different types of tastes. Some green pepper for color. Look at that, a little baby one inside. And again, the same type of little dice. With a sharp knife, everything is just so much easier, as you can see. And we'll save this juice as well. So, cover on. So my fire is on low. I have my lovely cast iron pot, which I love. And it's gonna make that red barbecue sauce look really nice in there. So in with our onions. 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil, everybody. And let's just get it all in. There we go. Look at that go. Low heat because we don't want anything to burn. A bit of salt. These are all lovely and translucent now. So I think we can rest our spoon here and start adding some of our other elements. Tomato paste, 2 heaped tablespoons. And we're going to cook that out a little bit. An addition of stock, which I saved from a smoked chicken. In it goes. Smells so good. We've got a lot of stuff to add to this, and I'm just going to go in line, starting with some thyme. Nice teaspoon. Just work it all in. Now you've got to let these ingredients get to know each other well. So we're going to leave this to bubble for about 20 minutes and come back and taste. That way we can correct things. For a different take on a barbecue sauce, here's our favorite pitmaster and CEO of the Lagos Barbecue School, Mr. O.
Hello everyone, once again, it's me, your favorite pitmaster, aka Mr. O. Today it's all about the sauce, and today's sauce is the Big Bob Gibson white sauce. So there are about 6 recognized regions for sauces in the US. You have the North Carolina style that I mentioned. You also have the Lexington style, which is the North Carolina style infused with some ketchup, and you also have South Carolina style, which is North Carolina style infused with mustard. There's the Texas style, which is based off beef broth. There's also the Kansas City style, which is a bit sweet because it has molasses and tomato base. There are several sauces, Memphis style, whatever. And today I'm going to showcase what I'll call the Lagos style of the Alabama white. Why will I call it Lagos style? It's the Lagos style because I'm going to infuse it with a bit of Cameroon pepper and a bit of suya pepper, which is also called yaji. Now that's like a hack to me. And speaking of which, Sonia, how are you doing with your hack? You're meant to be hacking out some ribs in your oven, and right here I'm hacking out some ribs in a traditional style using wood and some charcoal. So let's go ahead with our sauce for today, which is the Alabama white sauce, which we're hacking to create the Lagos white sauce. So the base is mayo, like I said, so we have our 2 cups of mayo here. Check online for the full recipe for the Alabama white sauce. So we're going to infuse a bit of cayenne, cracked black pepper, salt, horseradish, yaji, Cameroon pepper, some freshly squeezed lemon, apple juice, and some white vinegar. Now we'll have everything in the jar. All we need to do is close it up tight and shake, 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 shake. And voila, Lagos white sauce. So this can go on any meat, preferably pork and chicken. There you have it, Lagos white sauce.
Thanks, Mr. O. This lovely barbecue sauce is ready. It's been bubbling for about 25 minutes and it's time to taste it. Just to make sure I did the right thing. You see, it's the perfect thickness. Let me show you. Look at that. Just sort of clinging to the spoon a little bit. So let's taste and see. I got that right. if I do say so myself. Lovely. Ready to move on. Here's our cooked wrap. All we do now is slice in between each knuckle and place in a baking dish. Slather the sauce all over it. A little shimmy and it's into the grill for a final crisping and sealing in of that flavor. To go with our ribs today, we are going to make some potato salad. Why do I love this so much and why is it such a great memory to me? It's because I used to watch my grandma making this, and step by step I just see it all coming together. It's quite a fattening dish. It's got a lot of mayonnaise in it and it's got a lot of goodies as well. It's Moorish. It helps those beautiful ribs go down a treat. My choice of spud today is Irish, good for boiling and mashing. We're cutting it bite-sized and then rinsing it off. And putting it on to boil. Be careful not to overcook them and also leave them out to cool once they're cooked and drained. I'm boiling some eggs too for a creamy, eggy flavor dimension. Here are our potatoes, all nicely cubed up and cooked. You can see that if I just run my spoon across them, they start to break up a little bit. And they haven't been in the fridge on purpose. I don't want them to be unpliable. So with my fork, I want some of these to be a little bit smashed. Reason being, it just adds a little bit more thickness and creaminess to the mayonnaise I'm going to use. So just breaking up a few of them. Mash it, hit it with the spoon a little bit like this. Just get it going a bit. That's all. And as we toss it about with all the other elements, it'll crush up a bit more as well. So that's done. Next up, what are we adding for seasonings? Well, I'm going definitely for some garlic powder and just tapping that over. Not too much. Definitely going for the paprika. Color starting to come in there. And going for some pepper. A little bit of dry rodu. In that goes. So we've got some basic spices. We can't forget a little bit of salt. Just a pinch. We can correct that later because we have salty elements going in as well, like our capers. These are lovely. Just going to drop some of these little gems in there. I love these. Next up, some pickles. These are assorted and I'm going to just cut some of them up. Some of the carrot adds color, texture, and of course that pickled element which you want. This is turnip, pickled turnip. It all came in the jar, so it's nice to look for a pickled variety jar instead of just one type of pickle. So I'm going for all the colors. Oops. Let's not forget our ribs. They're ready on one side, so let's flip them over and sauce up the other side for grilling and get back to our task at hand. Next up, some eggs. I'm gonna flip my board. We're going to peel our eggs, and it's easy. Just roll and peel, roll and peel for a perfect looking egg, which we'll mash up before we add them to the mix. And I'm going to add a little bit of black pepper, which I didn't before. Next thing up, our mayonnaise. We're going to have to be generous with this. That's a lot, but at the end of the day, it's all going to come good. Gently mix in. Something's telling me I should have used a bigger mixing bowl, but nevertheless, we have liftoff. And I think we're ready there. A little parsley. Which I'm going to add for freshness. Stems and all, don't be afraid of them. Really freshen it up before we dress our plate with these lovely garnishings. Some beautiful orange peppers, sweet peppers, some egg, and some olives. Love those. So, here we go. Sprinkle that in and give it a final 1 or 2 stirrings just to get that in there. And the ribs are ready. Just look at the succulency. Is that a word? And with the salad, wow! What a pretty picture. Hungry? Okay, so iced tea. Favorite at my table when I was growing up, and of course always seen at the cookout. Easy to make. Here we go, beautiful iced tea. Cheers. Delicious, especially with that honey. That's all we have for you today on Food Journey. I'm going to go off and eat some ribs and potato salad now, and I hope you're going to try and make some at home too. We'll see you next time. Bye.